can if you go to the YouTube. Are we live? Are we live? Let us know if we're live, people. Let us know if we are live, because we got to talk about day 4 of New York Giants training camp. The first day the Giants were in shoulder pads, which is nice. But we got to be live to do that. So let us know if we're live so we can talk about it all. The Giants are pushing the ball down the field. We got to know if we are live. We're live, says DX Hydroponic Gardening.
They're trying to push the ball down the field.
They're trying to push the ball down the field. They are pushing the ball down the field.
Trying.
So we'll get into all of it. This stream is brought to you by Captain Morgan. Thank you to Captain Morgan for making these possible. So let's talk about day 4 of Giants training camp, Justin.
Yep.
And the theme for the offense and Daniel Jones is pushing the ball down the field, right? Today they threw the ball 15 times. 5 of those were 20-plus yard attempts. This is obvious. We talked about it on the stream on Friday. To continue pushing the issue with this. Continue. Because this offense with their wide receiver core should at bare minimum be pretty damn explosive, right? And 5 of 15 today, that's 33%, right? You know, the other day I think it was 27%. The league lead in the NFL last year was Will Levis at 20%. Now, obviously,
it's not going to be that high.
Yeah, obviously it's not even going to be anywhere near that high, right? They're not going to be number 1 in that league.
But they need to practice it since this has been.
But they need to be top 15 in
Yes.
amount of, on rate of throwing the ball down the field because of the weapons that they have. And today it started out really bad, right? There was 3 passes. One to Jaylen Hyatt was, a throw into like single coverage. I think Belton might have gotten a little push on Hyatt, but incompletion, just kind of a play. And then
Still, Hyatt has to stop. Hyatt's running and he's open, and then Hyatt basically has to stop for the ball.
And then the 2 bad ones were throws to Malik Nabers over. I mean, Malik Nabers is burning, guys, and
He's open, man.
I want to talk about the secondary too, and they were just not like slightly, but really bad underthrows, and then finished it with a deep throw to Malik Nabers on the right sideline, which was a beautiful ball. Great tracking by Malik Nabers, and then Jaylen Hyatt deep up the left sideline where he's wide ass open. He had to lay out for it, but they were able to complete it for a 40 or 50 yarder. So again, the emphasis of this camp, unlike even like last year's camp when it was everything was great, they weren't like pushing the ball down the field like this, right? There was maybe 1 or 2, even in 7-on-7 with no rush. They weren't really pushing the ball down the field. There was a lot of Darren Waller over the middle, Darius Slayton over the middle type of stuff. There is a very clear-cut emphasis, and I think the end of last year, where Tyrell Taylor was 3rd highest in deep throw rate last year, that really put a taste in Brian Dable's mouth with the addition of Malik Nabers, that this is what we have to do. This is how we're going to continue score points consistently. It's not by trying to play perfect ball, but to try to create explosives. And this offense is doing everything they can to get better at this.
Yeah, and the only thing I want to differentiate here is I am not worried because obviously there's good Daniel Jones plays that are out there, and not every 20+ yard throw is going to be a completion. Like I recognize that. Not every 20+ yard throw in the NFL is completed, right? I think it's like usually if you have a quarterback that's completing around 40-30%, that's like really good, right?
40% is good. 33%. I could even look it up.
You can pull it up, but here's
50% is elite.
Well, yeah, like 50% is what he did back in like 2020 or 2021 with Jason Garrett, but that's because they just didn't do it often. I would rather them do it more and complete a little bit less and sacrifice the efficiency than not do it so much and just, oh, man, we're going to take advantage of the opportunity. Here's what I want to differentiate, Bobby.
Yep.
And this is a conversation that I don't think is happening
13th
enough.
was 39%. This is out of 23, but like legal worst was 27%.
Yeah. So this is what I want to differentiate, though, Bobby, and I want to get your thoughts on this. I think you've heard me say this. I am not worried about Daniel Jones hitting Darius Slayton, Jaylen Hyatt, or Malik Nabers on the sideline. And that has been a lot of the good Daniel Jones deep throws have been go routes on the sideline, right? It's what they've been. What I am very concerned with,
every single one,
and what I am concerned with is the balls that are behind receivers, the balls that are genuinely inaccurate. This even includes like the intermediate part of the field too. Right now with Daniel Jones, it's the middle of the field, and Daniel Jones under Brian Dable, he's been one of the worst quarterbacks in the league in terms of attacking the middle of the field. So this is not me I'm not overreacting to anything. I'm just telling you what my observations are. Not concerned about Daniel Jones throwing the ball out to the sideline for deep explosive plays. That's fine. He can throw a fine ball out there. But it's driving the ball to the middle of the field where you have Hyatt, who has that speed, where you have Malik Nabers, who has that speed and separation. That's what I'm concerned about right now, because Jones hasn't been able to show it in his career, and basically I don't know if he's completed a deep ball over the middle of the field yet this camp. And they've attempted a lot of them.
Well, he's 4 for 12 on the deep passes. They're 1 to Jaylen Hyatt on day 2 on the left sideline, Malik Nabers on day 3, and then the 2 to Jaylen Hyatt and Malik. So they have been on the sideline, and that's the thing is like you need to. There's throws to be had, but like you said, you have to be able to drive the ball, right? Not throw a ball with 45, 50 yards with good touch. You got to be able to drive the ball, because Malik Nabers is over the middle of the field, getting
open, man,
wide ass open. And if you hit a few of those once games actually get rolling, it opens up so much for what this offense wants to do, right? Because even on the second one that was underthrown really bad to Malik Nabers, Darius Slayton, goes to run over, puts his foot in the ground, goes to the sideline. He's wide ass open, but you throw the ball to Nabers because he's got the big explosive and he's got the guy beat. Like, they have to start hitting those, because that's going to open up so much shit underneath. And if a defense has to defend the deep middle part of the field, it just makes so much easier. So like I said, they got it. On Friday was the first day out of the red zone, and they threw 6 to 22. I'm like, okay, maybe this is the emphasis today. But today they did 5 of 15. I want this every single day. That's not like a red zone third down day.
Yeah,
like every day that's not a red zone or third down drills, because this is the path to success for this offense.
Yeah,
that as long as Andrew Thomas is healthy, these are gonna be there, right? If Andrew Thomas isn't healthy, then the entire offense is probably shit out of luck.
Yeah. And even on some plays, Jones has done a good job of climbing the pocket too, and I think that's going to help him, navigate the pocket, give you a little bit more time. You can drive off that back leg and try and deliver a deep ball down the field. So I even think some of the, I'm really going to lock into O-line, D-line tomorrow, because they will be in
first day full pads.
They will be in full pads tomorrow. I asked Paul Dottino before practice. We also knew that for a little while too. But I'll lock into that. But I've even seen like some good pocket manipulation stuff from Jones, and a lot of 11, only 11 on 11 so far this camp. So that's only hopefully going to help him.
And I love that, right? One, that is insane. I don't think there's ever been a training camp where they don't do 7 on 7.
Dalton Feely was shocked. I was on the phone with him on my way here, and he was like, they just haven't done it. I'm like, no, they haven't.
It's insane, and I love it. And also with that, right? Like, have the injuries been as frequent as previous years, right? Like, you have JMS out with a shoulder, which we'll talk about. Newbin's been out since the first day. And besides that, there's really been no injuries. But, Timmy Horn missed one day. There hasn't been any injuries besides those. And then Jermaine Eleanor with the ribs.
Yep. Also, Bobby put it in the chat. Please like and subscribe. Very, very quick.
Like and subscribe.
More people that like the stream, more people will see the stream. And I want to get to 35,000 subscribers by opening Sunday.
I bet we just do it right now. How about that, people? We see the numbers. It's like amount of views per subscribe, not subscribe. Just subscribe and like. Okay, I know. I just did jinx the injury thing. You did it last year.
I'm not doing that again.
So again, offense pushing. It's just, and I don't want to come on these and talk about Malik Nabers every single time, but
he stands out.
I was talking with somebody after practice, and it inspired a tweet where I was like, "Man, it's just so easy to see that this guy is a star." I was like, "You don't need to be an analyst. You don't need to know ball." Like, it's just obvious that this guy is a star. And the guy said to me, like, yeah, my grandmother could figure out that Malik Nabers is a star. That I cannot wait till, one, even, again, they're not hitting them efficiently, but he's also caught in 3 in 2 days. And not like they're throwing 50 times like they're not in games. Like, they're throwing less times per day than they would in an actual game, right? So he's even as inefficient as they've been, he's caught in 3. And I just can't wait to see him catch a pass over the middle and motherfuckers have to tackle him.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we don't get to see that in training camp because they're not tackling. Like, that's what I'm excited for, is like not just the deep stuff, but like I want to see him catch a 10-yard in route.
Yeah, and they haven't really done that kind of stuff yet.
Yeah, so like it's just so clear that he's a star. Let's talk about the center stuff. John Michael Schmitz was out with a shoulder today. Brian Dable said it wasn't serious, but we don't know how long he's going to be out. They said Tyler Newbin wasn't serious, and he's missed He hasn't practiced since.
Hopefully he's
since,
close.
Since Wednesday last. They say he's really close, but again, he could be out a week. For all we know. So that Hard Knocks clip of Karin Brasso, the O-line coach, talking to Saquon, talking about like, yeah, Runyon, can maybe do some center flex? Well, they started out with Austin Schlottman, the free agent from the Vikings, as the first team center for JMS. And then they made some changes, right? They put John Runyon at center, put Jake Kubis, the UDFA out of North Dakota State, at guard. And then they gave Jimmy Morrissey some center reps. My thing with that is, hey, if you don't feel comfortable with Austin Schlottman starting at center, then you need to go look at and I know this sounds like, oh, you guys just like this guy, but like Nick Gates is available. Nobody's hit Nick Gates. If you're looking for a backup center, Nick Gates can absolutely be that guy for you. So if once pads get rolling tomorrow and stuff, and they don't feel comfortable with Austin Schlottman and Jimmy Morrissey, and those guys are losing to the Giants' bad backup defensive tackles in those drills, then I think you need to look to make a call to add a backup center on this team.
Yeah, I just don't like messing up a routine and messing up what a proven veteran and disrupting their overall routine because you want to makeshift this offensive line, right? Like, let's just say if John Michael Schmitz goes down, then like is John Runyon the plan with Aaron Stinney or
It seems like it's Austin Schlottman because he's the one who got the first reps, but it seemed like they wanted to just try it. I don't know, but at the end of the day, I do not want John Runyon, and he's never played center in the NFL either.
Yeah, I don't mind
and his first snap was bad, by the way.
Yeah,
too.
I don't mind it for one day, especially if you want to use it as, hey, JMS, this is a short term whatever. Hopefully he's back tomorrow by full pads. I don't mind it if you want to do one day, but if we start seeing this rotation stuff again, in and out, I'm not going to be fully through it. It's still so early on in camp, but they're not in full pads yet that I'm not stressing over it. But this is the kind of stuff they did last year.
If it's a few day and if it starts happening a few days in a row, then it's like, okay, well, if you don't feel comfortable putting Austin Schlottman as your backup center, then you need to go find another backup center. And like, again, maybe there's someone else out there that's better than Nick Gates, but like there's a name out there in Gates that can be a backup center.
Yep. I want to bring up Jaylen Hyatt for a second.
Bring him up.
We're not watching anybody every single play and every single rep, but dude, there are times where I think Hyatt had a catch in the intermediate part of the field, short part of the field today. He's adding a little bit of shimmy to the stem of his routes. He's getting some separation. And that's an area where we kind of expected him to take a step up this year, getting more separation in different areas of the field rather than just running deep down the field, right? And saw him against Banks do it a couple days ago. Saw him today get open and boom, have a catch over the middle, and that's yak potential. So we're a week into camp almost, and Jaylen Hyatt's still very much splitting reps with Darius Slayton, and he's doing a fine job getting open when he kind of needs to get open.
Yeah, and I did this in my write-up that I put out yesterday, and I'm going to do another one today, patreon.com/talkinggiants, is that the more times he does that in practice, right, because they go back and watch every single play, the more times, even if he's not getting the ball thrown his way, the more times he can do that, the more often you could just put him on the field and say you are part of this quick game progression.
Yeah.
Right, where last year he was not part of that. Right, he was almost always on the backside of progression, running deep. Right, there was some little shallow cross stuff, but there was really nothing where he was asked to do a lot as far as a route runner last year, and they didn't put him in the front side of progressions. He was basically just an alert route. So the more he can do that and show that, the better chance he has of being a guy who's not just a 25-yard per catch guy, but someone who's a 17-yard per catch guy and can run a hitch, can run a slant, can run a speed out. So. Like it's like you said, it's hard to. You can't just watch one player. I would love to just watch Jaylen Hyatt down in, down out. Preseason, obviously, I will get to go back and watch the film and.
But whenever we kind of randomly find him, the fact that he's doing good things and sticking out is not a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Other receiver note, tight end Theo Johnson came off of the PUP list today. I even saw someone super chat about that. So thank you, Joel Lopez, because I was going to talk about that anyways. First play of his camp, right? He's out there with the second team with Drew Lock. I mean, just nice snag over the middle. It might have been a big yak play. Now they slowed him in, right? He didn't run a lot of reps. He only got, I think, 1 rep with the first team.
He was also blocking a lot.
Yeah, he was, like I was gonna say, he was blocking a lot, but like, Bellinger gave up a sack on Kayvon, right? On a 2 tight end set. And I was watching because I love Theo Johnson. He was the guy that's focusing in on a lot of second team. He was doing a pretty damn good job as a blocker. Obviously, he's going against second team players, but. And with Bellinger, and I want to maybe wait to have the big tight end conversation, especially as Theo Johnson gets himself into the swing of things. But whatever Daniel Bellinger's role is, what it's not is the full-time starting tight end, right? They are rotating to tight ends like the running back.
That's why I think it's going to be Theo Johnson. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, we can even just look at Daniel Bellinger has 1 catch. And from Daniel Jones this camp. Yeah. Right? Lawrence Cager has 2, right? Not a lot, but like Lawrence Cager is getting just as many reps, and then they're bringing in Chris Manhertz a lot. But we know Manhertz's role. It's not the starting tight end. And, they're going to want to play Theo Johnson. And if Theo Johnson makes plays in camp and preseason, then, I don't – this idea that Bellinger's going to get cut is a little wild to me. But it will be interesting to see how diminished his role is, because he may just be a second tight end when you need a fullback type role, right? Because if they want to go 2 tight ends and have just a pure inline blocker, Manhertz gives you more than what Daniel Bellinger does. But I want to wait and see how camp progresses to really iron out my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I don't think Bellinger's going anywhere, because I do think they are going to run with those kind of Bellinger as
He's
this
their only
H-back.
lead blocker.
Yeah, he as this like H-back, fullback, like Bellinger has exclusively done that. And even when they show certain formations and certain plays with Manhertz with his hand in the dirt in the backfield, they usually will motion out of it and put Bellinger back there by the time the ball snapped anyway.
Absolutely. Did you have any other offensive notes off the top of your head?
No. The offense just didn't look crisp.
What do you think of Drew Lock?
He's hit or miss.
Yeah, he really is. It's like, oh my gosh, sick throw, or it's like, running around the back of, running around in the backfield and throwing an inaccurate pass. So as much as like we're talking about DJ, like Drew Lock he's a downgrade from Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, 100%.
There's
and I think they knew that.
Even if DJ can, even if they get even if the coaching staff at the end of training camp is not feeling good, there's really to me there's no idea of Lock challenging for it. I even stopped charting Lock stats because this is pointless.
Well, you've said that twice so far this camp, and I think you'll go back to it.
I haven't done it the last 2 practices.
Oh, you haven't done it? Okay. How about Tyrone Tracy continues to stand out. He had a nice run today, and then even on this was just a running back screen that was kind of blocked up well and schemed up well, but he had some more receiving plays today, so he continues to stand out as well.
Yeah, versus cover 0 blitz, he was the throw from DJ. He's had probably 12 catches. He might even lead the whole team in camp catches. Yeah. I only track the catches from Daniel Jones, but he might lead the whole team in camp catches.
Yeah, I think he's going to be featured. I think he's clear right now. I know they're rotating running backs a lot, but I've seen him get more first-team reps and more high-leverage reps than Eric Gray.
Yeah, and Eric Gray's gotten a handful too, but it just Tyrone Tracy is the one who's catching passes.
Yeah.
And again, Eric Gray, let's see how you can be as a blocker. All right, Justin, I think I got everything on offense. Why don't you talk to us about the captain?
Oh boy, I'll talk to you about the captain. And get ready, because tomorrow, why aren't you guys talking enough about O-line, D-line?
Tomorrow's an O-line, D-line day.
Tomorrow's an O-line, D-line day where they're going to be in full pads. And you want to know what I'm going to use to get fired up tonight and spice things up? The Giants are going to spice things up tomorrow with full pads, and you get to spice up your life with some Captain Morgan. I am afraid if you throw it up in the air and you will drop it, and it will scare me, because broken glass kind of scares me. It's a fear that I have, but guess what? This is plastic. This is nice. Don't do that. Captain Morgan, they're sponsoring this stream. They're sponsoring our summer camp series. And did you know that Captain Morgan is the official spiced rum of the NFL? With the NFL season upon us, you got to get the right players in the game in the right spots. I want you to comment your favorite captain. Spam Captain Morgan in the chat right now. I'd low-key like to maybe send this to them to show how pumped up you are that they're going to be with us for the entire season. It's delicious. It's crisp. It's perfect for game day with friends. Spice it up, and it's the official spiced rum of also, I'm declaring this right now, of the L16 Talking Giants tailgate. Guess what? Captain Morgan didn't need to give us any money to do that, because it's been the favorite, the official spice rum of the L16 tailgate for years. Nothing changes for us. Visit CaptainMorgan.com to find Captain near you. Please drink responsibly. Captain Morgan, original spice rum, 35% alcohol by volume. Captain Morgan Rum Company in New York, New York. Thank you to Captain Morgan, huge supporters of us this year. Please threaten people to drink responsibly.
Yeah. If you don't drink responsibly, I'm going to make you wish you did. But you'll be glad you did. But speaking of, not dropping things, I don't think there's been a drop since that first Malik Nabers day one catch or drop.
I don't think so, no.
Reminding me. Guys are catching the fucking ball around here. All right, defensively. Position battles, Andrew Phillips got his first day just actually practicing nickel with the first team. Now, he was the guy who got beat on that Jaylen Hyatt pass. He had a pass breakup, though, on a cover zero blitz.
He made some nice plays, yeah.
Right? But the first 3 days was only Nick McLeod, and day 3 was both because they were running a lot of dime. But it just does signal that job's not completely out of reach for Drew Phillips. So he's going to be in there battling for it. Made some plays, made some, mistakes. Like I said, Hyatt beating him deep. Also, I'm officially just worried that Cordell Flott is bad. He's been really
welcome to the club.
Yeah, I know, but it's when it's continuously happening, right? And I didn't think he was going to be great this year, and I don't think they have an answer for this, right? And I know you want Nick McLeod to start on the outside. I don't. To me, cornerback needs to be something that they're looking to add.
Let's be clear. I don't want Nick McLeod to start on the outside. Oh my God, I think Nick McLeod's great. I want Nick McLeod to start on the outside because I think that he is better than Cordell Flott. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, Cordell Flott's getting beat consistently. Banks, I don't think, was really targeted much today. Like the Nabers catches were almost all over Flott.
Yeah.
The Hyatt one was over Drew Phillips.
Banks' overall coverage has been good. It's just that when he has an opportunity to make a play on a football, that's for him to take that step.
Yeah,
up.
and that's another thing I wrote up yesterday was this isn't like the beginning of last year's camp where he's just getting smoked.
No, he's not. He's in a good spot.
Yeah. But yeah, the secondary is an issue, and another thing with watching training camps is it's not like watching your team where you're watching one side. You're trying to watch both sides of the ball. And so you're not it's hard to watch what the safeties are doing, but as part of all these deep plays, I would like to watch and see where are the safeties on?
Yeah.
What is happening with the safeties on this with Jason Pinnock and Dane Belton as the first team safeties right now, because you're not supposed to be being targeted 30% down the field. You should be trying to avoid that.
Also, there is stuff open in the middle of the field, and where are the safeties?
And the second team, I actually do watch the second team safeties.
Because Javarius Owens.
One, specifically Javarius Owens, but actually Alex Johnson, the UDFA slot corner out of UCLA.
Yeah, he made a nice splitter.
They were having him practice second team safety with Javarius Owens. Those guys are actually doing a good job of stopping progressions and shit, right? Owens made a few again, they're not plays that you will notice in highlights, but they're trying to run a concept. Owens gets and undercuts it and, forces Drew Lock to scramble and try and make a play. So those guys are stopping the big plays. The only big plays that are happening against the second team really are just on Darius Moassa, the 6th-round linebacker at UCLA, who got beat by Turbo Miller on day 3. Today he got beat up the seam by Tyree Jackson. So, the second team safeties are stopping the explosives. So, the first team safeties, I want to see more out of those guys. Making some plays, right? If I'm not watching you, just go up and make a play. I know Belton had the interception on day 3, but that was on a back shoulder undercut. That wasn't down the field.
There's also the red zone too.
Yeah. So it's the secondary. The secondary was a worry going into camp, and they've done nothing to relieve those worries.
No, maybe Deonte Banks has done a little bit to relieve that. He's good in coverage, but again, make plays on the football, attack the football when it's in the air, when it's coming your way, and turn your head. Isaiah Simmons doing what? I actually think he's a very interesting conversation to have at this point.
So he got, the Giants offense ran some 12 personnel today. So the Giants defense matched with the big nickel, and they'd have Isaiah Simmons out there with the first team with him. It's really hard to see what his game day role will be, but I do think they have a plan for him to make the 53-man roster.
Yeah, 100%.
And there's going to be some type of role for him, right? Because he was out there as their big nickel today. Now we may get to real action and it's just bad, right? I know everyone brings up Isaiah Simmons' best year was at the nickel for the Cardinals in 2022, but he wasn't good. You know? So I again, to me, at the end of the day, I think his role is probably third and long linebacker, just like it was on Wink Martindale. When you're getting up cover zero looks, you put him on the line. But I don't know how much of a role you're really giving him in a non-Wink Martindale defense. But they do have some types of plans for him.
But trying to find where he lines up pre-snap is a fun exercise when he's out there, because he practices with the corners still in individuals, but then there are certain packages where he's standing next to Bobby Okereke, and then there's certain times where he's close to the edge rushers, and then there are certain times where he's like lined up as a slot corner. So it's interesting, and basically I almost think back to the money backer that Jabril Peppers played when he first got here, kind of lining up anywhere and everywhere around the field and on the field. So I think he's definitely gonna make the team, and where he lines up is going to be interesting throughout the season.
Absolutely. Nacho, Raheem Nunez-Roches, he's been a beast in the running game.
Yeah.
Every time I see like a run stop, Nacho is there at the ball, and he's the front runner for defensive tackle too.
I think two interior defensive linemen have emerged as guys that have been most involved in the room, and it's Nacho and it's Ryder Anderson.
Yeah, honestly, Jordan Phillips is getting mostly third-team snaps. And Jordan Riley's kind of the backup nose tackle to Dexter Lawrence.
Is there any way that Jordan Phillips doesn't make the team?
I mean, he's practicing with the 13. Now he did make a play today, again against third-team offensive line, but still, I don't know. I think that will sort itself out once you see the depth chart in preseason, when it's just clear cut who's, what's the pecking order. But Phillips is essentially, I don't think he's taken any first team reps. No. If he has, they've been very few and far between. But like you said, they got out on base today, and it was Ryder Anderson and Nacho to go with Dexter Lawrence.
I think Burns and Thibodeau had a fun practice. Thibodeau had a sack. Burns may have at least got around the corner a couple times on Andrew Thomas. I don't know if it would have resulted on a sack, but I just remember seeing those guys in the backfield, often, and that was fun to see. Let's get an update on interior linebacker 2/3.
McFadden was basically it today, right? Mm-hmm. There was a little bit with Simmons out there, but it was basically just McFadden. So I think McFadden should win that job at the end of the day. But today it was mostly him. I don't think Deontay Johnson got any first-team reps. Ovie Ogofu, the UDFA out of LSU, Texas, and Notre Dame, had a couple would-be sacks today. Special teams intensity. It's the first time they're in pads. Mm-hmm. Way more intense than the Thomas McGahee special teams practice. So that was good to see. And why don't we get some questions? I think
let's get some questions.
Trey Herndon had a really good pass breakup on Isaiah Hodgins on an in route. Safeties were rotating a lot pre and post snap. Bellinger was getting fullback reps.
Justin went to a Dominican barbershop. I forgot to get the line cut in his eyebrow. You know what's really funny? A guy that spoke Spanish cut my hair yesterday. So, Big Jones Energy.
Was he Dominican?
I don't know if he was Dominican, but Big Jones Energy just exposed me.
What kind of flags were in the?
I didn't pay attention. I was very overwhelmed by my non-supercut setting. I didn't sign in. It was just he pointed at me when I was ready. I'm like, oh, okay. How does the offensive line look? We'll really analyze it tomorrow. This is a good question. Would you guys rather the Giants sign Greg Van Roten / Nick Gates, or get a corner? Which looks to be the bigger issue? I want Van Roten.
Corner looks to be the biggest issue, but I would rather have an offensive line.
I would rather have an offensive line. I'd rather have a starting guard.
You can scheme around corners a little bit.
Yeah.
You can't really scheme around bad interior offensive line.
Yep.
Rick Bowman, Research Rick, said, what is Shane Bowen's demeanor? It actually is pretty aggressive. We've seen way more blitzing than what Shane Bowen has done historically. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen any of the 3 safety sets, which, we talked about, and Shane Bowen did a lot in Tennessee on third down. But it is more attacking. And again, the safety rotations, it's attacking in the sense that they're blitzing quite a bit, and they're putting the secondary out there. They've lost a good amount because of it, though.
And even Bowen's demeanor is quite interesting. Every single day in positions and individuals, he's very active with the players. today he wasn't quite teaching as much and pulling guys aside and going over stuff, but he has spent a lot of time with the edge rushers. But every individual period, he's walking from position group to position group, looking at guys. And, I'm sure every coach does that. Every, defense coordinator does that. But it's been cool to see, especially since the edge rushers are usually right in front of us when we're sitting there. It's been cool to see him be hands-on with guys. He takes guys aside. And
yeah, he even did, like I mentioned before, with Alex Johnson, first day playing safety, probably ever. Yeah. And he was spending time with him on the sideline, like working with him one-on-one. Yeah. So, all right, we will be back tomorrow again. Tomorrow's going to be an O-line, D-line day. It's been a lot of big passing, secondary receivers, and we'll hit on that. But tomorrow, I am laser focused on the O-line and the fucking D-line. So we appreciate you guys. Thank you, Captain Morgan. We'll see you tomorrow. Oh, by the way, tomorrow's player profile and projection, star power bunch, Andrew Thomas and Brian Burns. So check that out. We'll see you then. Until then, let's go Big Blue.